Well, we're just going to go ahead and get started. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Um, we are going to record this and post on the website for anybody that missed it. And hopefully we'll be able to answer some questions tonight about what is camp going to look like. Most of you know who I am. I'm Scarlett Dowdy, the program manager. And let me introduce those who can field questions. Michael Saltel, wave your hand. There he is. He's our assistant director and our director, Trey Porta. I'm going down the box, so sorry, y'all. The Reverend Riddick Weber is on here. He is one of our senior high deans. And Macy Saltel, who's our other senior high dean. We will all be here to field questions. Anything you want to ask, we are here to hopefully clear things up or help you understand what it is we're doing. It's been a weird year, and we're going to try to navigate through a summer of something a little bit different. So what do y'all do? Who wants to ask questions first? And if you don't want to say it out loud, if you want to put it in the chat, that's fine too. We can look at the chat and see what your questions are.
Scarlett, why don't you get them started with just sort of what a day might look like? Okay,
I can do that. So a day at camp. So you'll wake up in the morning, you will be in your cabin, which I'm not going to use the word cohort but this one time, but that's really what it is. So your cabin group is the one you'll do most everything with, but you will also be able to talk and socialize with other folks at camp. You will get up in the mornings. We'll have 2 cabins per lodge unit, and you can go in and take your showers. Your cabin will have one side of the lodge, the other cabin will have the opposite side. So that gives you a nice clean space to have your showers. Then when you come into the dining hall, you will come in as a cabin group, and you will have a cabin group table, and they will all be socially distanced. And and before you come in the door, you will have your temperature taken and checks done. You will come in, you'll eat. We will, have breakfast. We will have our assembly up in the assembly hall. We will have activities and talk shops and whatnot in the afternoons. We will have campfires at night. So what specific questions might you have about camp?
This is Emily. Hey.
Hey.
Thank you for doing this for us. So if you're socially distanced at meals, but then you have an assembly in the assembly hall, are you socially distanced there? Because that seems like a different situation.
It is, and that's a good question. So what we're going to do is we are not going to have chairs in the assembly hall this year. I have purchased puzzle mats, and every cabin group will have their own section of mats that they will sit or stand on, whatever they like. They're very easy to clean and disinfect. And yes, we will be able to sing as long as we have our mask on, but we'll be in our cabin group when we do so. So we will get to be together in the assembly hall because the barn doors open wide, and that is considered open air. So that is the reason we are able to do that.
Oh, you mean the assembly hall is considered open air?
Yeah, if the barn doors are completely open.
Okay. And they have their temperature taken every day. They wear masks when they're
yes, morning and night they'll have that done.
Okay. And they wear a mask at what times of the day?
They wear a mask any time that they are in a building. And then when they are outside, if they are not socially distanced, they will have to have their mask on. If they're socially distanced, then they could drop their mask outside.
Okay. And then do they, are they all required to get a COVID test, a negative test reported before they arrive at camp?
They are. We're asking for a 3-day test and to bring that result with you when you come to camp, because the 3-day test is better than a rapid test. So that's the one we're going with for now.
with the hopes that they also
Yeah.
act smart and stay isolated those 3 days.
Right.
What about
so
in the case?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. In the case of that, people that are vaccinated, that is that not even going to be asked whether you're vaccinated or not? It's just going to be a test.
Yeah, you will still be asked to do that unless the CDC tells us otherwise. So for now, I have to say yes. You still have to do that. Whatever the CDC tells us is what we will do.
Yeah. And then are the cabin sizes or the cohort sizes going to be smaller so there's more space between people?
Yes. So there will only be 6 campers and 2 counselors per cabin. So we have we can have up to 48 campers per week.
As opposed to what in the past?
Well, each of those cabins hold at least 12 to 13 beds. So double. You could have double. Depends on the camp. Senior high is probably the biggest camp we normally have.
In senior high,
taking all these precautions.
Isn't senior high normally around 160 or something like that by the time you add in all the staff and the so we're running at like almost a quarter capacity for senior high camp.
For senior high, we are.
And how we pick those numbers were really not the cabins as much as, well, one, what we could space in a cabin, but then the number of cabins based on bathrooms. So every cabin will have their own bathroom that way. So we're not sharing bathrooms in other places to have to worry about keeping extra places clean. So that way Laurel's 1 will have one half of Laurel's. Laurel's 2 or whichever the other cabin will have the other half and all the way up. So that's how we'll separate. It's more on bathroom space than it was number of cabins because we won't be using half the cabins.
Right.
Will they use the gym and share the play equipment?
At this stage, we think a lot of that's there are more and more things that we're finding out they can and can't do and share. When they're in groups like that, they will have to have their masks. We know that much. That probably will not change. But again, as more things come out, how we talked about, what is it? We could play knockout Michael if everybody has their own basketball or some of those things. So I think we're trying to make sure they can still do as much as possible, but still stay as safe as possible.
Right.
Well, I want to say how much we appreciate the thoughtfulness into this because I'm sure that, and I'm representing our family. I'm the only one that could attend today, but Stuart has just been saying for a year how he wants to come to go to Laurel Ridge, and I know that represents so many kids. So thank you for, how conscientious you're being about this.
Yeah, and we still want them to have a good time. So we're working hard. I know my senior high deans can attest to the fact that we have been trying to figure out how and what we can do to make it more like they're used to without not being safe. So it's a challenge.
Since it's a fraction of the people allowed to go, are you going to have more weeks?
Yes,
for senior high?
We have 2 weeks planned right now of senior high and 2 of middle high. And Emily, the schedule, the updated schedule is on our website.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. And also, if you are looking for the COVID protocol and you don't have that, it is under the news and events tab on the website. So you'll be able to, you can go there and pull the documents up and look at what we have on there. Nothing has changed right now. We're waiting patiently to see what happens next and what the CDC allows us, tells us, recommends to us what we can do. But first and foremost, we want to keep the kids safe. And the counselors too. Riddick, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. So what is it gonna look like at senior high camp in the evenings when we have planned activities? Any idea?
Well, we had kicked around a lot of ideas and we keep coming back to, once again, camper safety, counselor safety. And I guess I should have my evening agenda pulled up, and I don't have that handy. I don't know if Macy has that up. So kicking the can doesn't help on that one.
Well, I think we could speak to the creativity of our RYC, the Regional Youth Council. They've been really active in planning this year, and they have a lot of really good ideas. And while it is going to be a very different setting for camp, and our interactive activities have to be different and socially distanced, they are just rolling with it, and they're coming up with all these unique games that we can play. And one of those was actually Human Battleship. And we're not quite sure how we're going to follow through with that, but I'm really excited to figure it out. I'm thinking something with like water balloon launchers and that kind of thing. So we'll see what happens there. But then we've also got our more traditional calm evening things like movie nights, and then the scavenger hunt that we always do, where we can do that within our cohorts and that sort of thing. So those are our kind of some of the ideas we've bounced around, different things like that I'm really excited for.
Yeah. And in addition to those kind of activities, one of the things that we're doing differently programmatically this year is we're experimenting with trying to do communion every night, and communion in different ways, because normally that's a big focus of our of the program is the communion that we share together, normally on Thursday night. And since this year is so different, we thought this might be a different way to try some things, especially since we're going to be spending so much time with our cabin group. That's our small group. We were thinking that the commitment to God and to each other as in communion would be an interesting thing to try this year. So that's another innovation for this year. And the good news is, if it's really a terrible idea, only 40 people will have had to live through it and will never try it again. But if it's a great idea, 40 people will come off the mountain and go, listen to what we did, and everybody want to come back and try it next year.
Thank you, Riddick. Thank you, Macy. Yeah, some of the other things that I know I have been asked is, how will we be able to spend time with our friends? Well, with only 6 in a cabin, that means 5 of your best friends can ask to be in your cabin. But there's going to be plenty of time for talking and socializing. Will you be able to share a hammock? No. Will you be able to hug and kiss? No. But you can socially distance and talk to your friends and have some time with your buddies, the ones that you look forward to being with every single time you come to camp. And that's part of the reason you're there. You want to be with your buds. And we know that. And we're going to do everything we can to let you still have those moments, but on the safe side of things. Any other questions? Might you want to know what campfire might look like at night? Well, campfire at night will be every cabin group will be around the campfire this year. And that way we can still all be fairly close to the campfire, but it'll be a little bit different, but in a good way. We've done some round campfires before, and they're pretty fun. So, and you'll be able to sing with your mask on. So we'll still have a rip-roaring campfire and have the best time we could possibly have on the mountain this summer.
How close will people be in the assembly hall when they're singing? That would be my only concern, really.
Okay.
Because of how much exhalation happens in that space,
Yeah. Well, first they'll have to have their mask on to sing. Period. That'll have to happen. The doors will be open, so we'll have them apart 6. We'll have to measure it out to 6 feet, unless that changes. There has been some conversation with the CDC that it might be 3 feet. But right now it's 6 feet, so that's where we are. And we will just, that's the purpose of the mats, that to keep them on their mats so that they are socially distanced while we're doing that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. You're following CDC guidelines, which is, I mean, is that pretty much what you're going to do? Is you will follow CDC guidelines?
Oh yeah.
In every decision that you make. Yeah. See, that gives me comfort to know that that's your guideline.
Oh yeah.
And I have an idea, but I wasn't a camper. So I'm thinking that in the past there was a cabin group and then there was a small group for Bible study. Is that right? Is that how it's different? Now the cabin group is the small group.
That's right. And that's probably going to be the biggest adjustment for everybody, I think.
So what would be the
hang on. So that would be that's going to be the big difference. That's going to be the thing that's probably the hardest. Is that normally your cabin group's one group of people, but then we split everybody up and put them into different small groups, and then you meet more people, and so on. So that's going to be different for us.
What will the talk shops look like? The same, but socially distanced with masks? If they're inside, and socially distanced without masks if they're outside? Okay.
Yes.
And will they still get to go down the river?
Probably won't be doing any. Well, we probably won't do any traveling this year to do any of that because of the you can't have but so many on a bus. So we'll probably stay on campus this year.
But, you know, in the interest of exploring outdoor space, our senior high group, we've considered working that into our program and having our small group or cabin groups within our program time when we're doing our small group meetings, having them hike to a destination point on the mountain that they may or may not have seen before. So they'll have an opportunity to see and experience new parts of Laurel Ridge, hopefully just by being here for our program.
Anybody else have questions?
I just want to go back to something that Emily was asking about when she was asking, you know, so we're following CDC guidelines. You may have mentioned this earlier. You're also, it's not just Laurel Ridge trying to figure out how to follow CDC guidelines. We're also using what other camping organizations are helping, you know, distribute the wisdom for how camps need to follow in this situation.
Okay, so Emily, we are also a member of the American Camping Association, who they also work with the CDC on what's been happening and have been giving us lots and lots of recommendations. The very first document we got was 115 pages long, ridiculous. So I ended up putting together a group of medical professionals who have been helping cipher through all of that. And then along with our insurance company, Redwoods, whom they only insure camps. So they've been working with ACA and CDC. So we've got layers upon layers of people who are working with the CDC to tell us what they think we need to be doing. And of course, the insurance company is going to be the one that actually goes, yes, you can do that, and no, you can't do that. But all of that comes down from the CDC through all of those channels. And so it's been quite the process to get where we are right now. Does that help?
Yeah, it sounds like you're really covering all the bases. So I'm sure every family appreciates that.
I hope so. It's a tedious little process we've been through to figure all of this out, and we really kind of started high. You know, we're just like, you know what, we got to do worst case scenario right now, and then we'll just wait for their guidance and go from there. Something else you might want to know, the whole staff now is fully vaccinated, right? So Laurel Ridge was able, and our in-staff they're eligible to go and get their vaccinations too. So That is a good thing.
It's great to know. So
yeah.
So all the staff and then probably some of the campers are fully vaccinated.
Hopefully. Yeah, because we can't make them be vaccinated. We can highly suggest it that you be vaccinated.
I think that's great. Thanks. We've been fortunate to get vaccinated, and we have our second coming, but everybody, because Stuart's 16. So it opened up for us. Yeah. So I think that's great.
Yeah, that's exciting news, and I hope everyone will take advantage of that.
But it's North Carolina has opened up now to everybody over 16, or will be doing that soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good.
Which may actually help with middle and senior high a little bit, especially senior high, if a lot of those decide to get vaccinated.
They actually opened it up to everybody today.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Michael, Trey, can y'all think of anything I haven't covered?
The only thing that I wanted to share this evening was to make sure everyone knows that there was a lot of due diligence and effort going into creating a fulfilling summer camp and safe experience this summer. And Scarlett mentioned our relationship with Redwoods Group, our insurance company. It's great to know that we don't just have to rely on the CDC, but Redwoods is going back to other organizations that had success and failures last year, and have assisted in creating a plan that's comprehensive and not sure proof, but a great place for us to feel confident in how we provide summer camp to campers, counselors, volunteers, staff, people. Everyone can go into summer camp this year with comfort and excitement. And so we challenge everyone to spread the word, and hopefully everyone goes into the summer with the same level of passion about Laurel Ridge that we have, and excitement for another year of summer camp behind us. We're celebrating 61 years this year. And so, I can't tell you how excited I am to have campers and people's fresh faces back on the mountain. I'm tired of looking at Trey's goatee every morning over Zoom. So hopefully we get to see you on the mountain soon.
Yeah, I'm excited. I am so excited to have lots of yelling and screaming, even with a mask on, and having a good time, and just getting to be on that precious mountain that we all love so much together again.
Will the lake be open for water play?
It will definitely be open for kayaking and fishing. Trey, you want to talk about swimming?
I was going to say we're still developing that with guidelines. Redwoods is going back and forth because ours is fresh water, not chlorinated water. A few different guidelines, but since ours is spring fed, it may give us some more things. So we're still working through that with our insurance company. That's our hope, to be able to open it up at some stage or for some point. We're just not sure how much, but definitely for anything on the water, because we can clean the canoes and the kayaks. So they can use those pieces. We're just trying to figure out, because then they will definitely have to be 6 feet apart, because the one thing you can't do is we could put chlorine in the spring because they can't have their masks on while they're playing the lake. And so that'll be the one thing. And so then we really are having to keep people 6 feet or further apart. So we'll have to work on that piece of it. But good question. And Emily, you were right earlier. We are dependent on everybody doing what they say they're going to do ahead of time and being smart before they come. But again, worst case scenario is why we're doing the pods, that if somebody does come and bring COVID up here, we're going to limit the space and those that can be affected. I'm hoping to do so. It's still, we won't affect the whole camp. It'll be bad enough losing a small group, but this way we won't lose a whole group throughout a week or even a whole staff for the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
So those are, like I say, we're trying to do everything we can, have a good week, good summer, but be safe.
Right. We have been talking as if no COVID will show up at all. So Trey, will you elaborate a little bit? What is the plan of action in case someone does test positive while up there?
I can address that. So in working with the medical professionals that we have in place, the first action plan would be to, of course, isolate them. And then the medical professionals will be the ones to decide, do we think this really is COVID? And at that point, we call parents. The cohort's already kind of isolated anyway. So but we would still go ahead and pull that camper out and call parents, and then they would have to go home, because even if we did a rapid test, they're only there for a week, so we would send them home, and we will continue with the normal protocol that we would be doing with the temperature checks and the, you know, all that every single day, twice a day.
And would the cohort be isolated, or since this camper had probably already been around other people, would you just continue?
Yes, they would,
as normal?
Right. Yeah, that's the part we're still working through right now. Do we send the whole group home or not? And so I can't give you the complete answer on that right now, but my gut is we possibly, yes, would have to send them home.
So I will just say, as a parent, that anybody who listens to the recording, if we get to hear the recording, when we do that 3-day test, then on behalf of everybody, let's all isolate and be really conscientious towards the well-being of all campers and staff.
Thank
so
you,
we
Emily.
can have a great week. Yeah, thank you. Because with all the work you're putting into this, then we can at least be conscientious to anticipate a great week together and do our best. And thank you for y'all doing your best.
Thank you for coming in tonight and asking such great questions. And I hope that if anybody has more questions tonight, we're happy to answer them. But if not, you can always email any of us and ask questions. You can call us, you can text us, whatever you need to do, but we're always open to conversations about how camp is going to go. And if you look in the chat box right now, you'll have all of our email addresses. So thank you all for joining us.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.